So this video is about acceptable liquids while you're fasting. So what can you drink while you're fasting? Realize that to get the benefits of fasting, calories do matter. The more calories you have of anything, the more problems you're going to have. So bone broth. Why shouldn't you consume bone broth while you're fasting? Some people say it's okay. Some people say it's not okay. Well, there's a good amount of protein in there, and protein can stimulate insulin. Okay, so if you're just drinking a small amount of bone broth, it's probably not going to be a problem, but realize that there's protein in bone broth that could inhibit the benefits of fasting. So if you're going to do bone broth, maybe you do it during a meal. Now, this also goes with collagen powder. Okay, collagen is protein. So again, avoid collagen powder while you're fasting. All right, what about branched chain amino acids? Okay, some people take it before or after a workout. Well, again, we have another protein, okay, powder. It's not all of the amino acids, but it's some, and that can definitely spike your sugar. What about coconut water? There's a good amount of sugar in coconut water, even though it's not like table sugar. There's still a good amount of sugar in coconut water. I would avoid it. All right, coffee. Okay, let's talk about coffee. Black coffee is totally fine. When you start to add things to it, especially if you're doing the sweetened flavored drinks, okay, that's definitely a no. Now, what about whole cream? Well, whole cream doesn't stimulate insulin, okay, because the more fat something is, the less insulin that's triggered, but there are calories. So that can bump you out, but only a tiny bit. Now, what about bulletproof coffee? Okay, that has more calories, more fat, because there's butter and MCT oil. However, because it's fat, it's not going to trigger insulin. But if you are trying to lose weight, okay, and you've done fasting for a period of time, maybe you don't consume the bulletproof version, you just do black coffee, because your body is going to go after that fat as its fuel and less of your own fat. However, that being said, if you're trying to maintain your weight, okay, and you don't want to lose anymore, I would highly recommend bulletproof coffee, because that helps to satisfy you and it helps you to go longer with your fasting, okay? And then, of course, the longer you go with your fasting, the more you become fat adapted and the easier things will be. All right, what about the pre-workout drinks? You have energy drinks, you have sport drinks, you have electrolyte drinks like Gatorade, things like that. All of these have sugar, and I would avoid them. The next one on the list is consuming soda with artificial sweeteners, okay? Avoid that. Now, let's talk about alcohol for a second. There are certain types of alcohol that have no carbohydrates in them, right? I'm not going to recommend them. All right, what about these soy drinks like the soy milk, for example? So that soy drink, I would avoid it. And I would also avoid the almond milk. However, there are certain types of almond milk that do have just almonds with water, and that's it, right? So if you had a choice between almond milk and soy milk, of course, I would do the almond milk. All right, what about milk? Well, there is some sugar in milk. So I would avoid that. And so what those bacteria are doing to the milk, they're eating up all the sugar. But I will say that yogurt does have more sugar than kefir. And so kefir is a lot better too, because it has friendly yeast and friendly bacteria and a lot more than yogurt. So if you had the choice between yogurt and kefir, I would go with the kefir. What about like these hot beverages with bouillon cubes, right? So if you can find one, great, because it gives you that extra salt that you need. All right, so what can you drink then, right, when you're fasting? You can drink water, right? Spring water, filtered water would be great. You can do carbonated water or still water. You can add electrolytes. You can add apple cider vinegar. It's not going to be a problem. In fact, I do recommend adding lemon or lime and apple cider vinegar. You can take supplements when you're fasting. That's totally fine. Just make sure they're not like protein powder type things. Tea is very good to take, like green tea, other types of tea when you're fasting, and will help you fast. And black coffee would be the ideal situation. When you're doing fasting, especially prolonged fasting, don't forget about sea salt. You need about a level teaspoon as a minimum in your water, right? Because you're not eating food. So you want to kind of mix that in these drinks, whether you're doing electrolyte powder or just straight water throughout the day, kind of spread it out because that's very, very important. Because if you run out of sodium and chloride, your muscles get weak, you feel fatigue, and there's a lot of problems with that.